Today I'm going to be doing a presentation on how dolphins communicate. We're going to start with the overview. Let's just go down the list. Beginning, we're going to have the origins of dolphins. Second, it's going to be the dolphins' use of communication. Third, we're going to lead to Terbergen's 4 questions relating to the bottlenose dolphin. This includes function, phylogeny, mechanism, ontogeny, and then we're going to close it out with the learnings. The origin of dolphins. So dolphins are descendants of cetaceans. These are 4-legged marine animals that lived on the land. These animals had to adapt to their environment, and that means going into the water to find their food. After a while, an evolutionary change, they began to physically change, and that made them more equipped to being in the water much longer. These dolphins belong to the Odonticeti. These are a group of mammals with large heads, hairless bodies, paddle-shaped front limbs, and teeth. These include marine dolphins, river dolphins, and porpoises. Here I just have a picture of a whale with their teeth showing, and then I have the anatomy of a dolphin. So continue on with the origin of dolphins. So the earliest fossil that we can date back to in the Delphinidae family is 11 million years ago. The size of dolphins, the males are typically larger than the females. I gave it an example. They range from 5 foot 3 inches, weighing 65 pounds. This is a female dusky dolphin, all the way up to a 31 foot and 8.8 ton killer male whale. The locations can be found in the sea, the ocean, and in fresh water. Dolphins' use of communication. So this is associated and traveled in groups. So dolphins like to be together, and we call these associations pods. They swim together at a slight distance. So in here we see them very close, but typically when dolphins are swimming together, they do like to keep themselves a little separate. Sound is very important because it prevents pod members from getting lost. This can happen if a dolphin is swimming too far away. They're going to need a way to communicate with their members that they need help getting back. So this sound definitely does assist with that. And like similar to humans, they have tissue vibrations and the analogous to the operation of the vocal cords. So their vocal cords works just like ours do. Now we're going to move on to Terbergen's 4 questions. The bottlenose dolphin. Number 1, we have the function. 2, the phylogeny. 3, mechanism. And 4, ontogeny. Number 1, function. So sound travels about 4.5 to 5 times faster in water compared to air. So there are pros and cons to this. Let's start with the pros. It's the most reliable of their senses. So they do use sound and vibration to get to anything or any food that they may need to. So second, I have scouting for prey. This means if they are looking for fish or whatever they're going to eat that day, they're using sound to pick up on that fish's vibration. Larger meals. Larger meals come into play because, as I mentioned earlier, dolphins travel in pods. And being that there are more dolphins, they can scope out more areas and essentially gather up a school of fish. There is enough of them to catch all of the fish. Safety. More dolphins means that they have to whistle for attention. Now this whistle is not anything that they're in harm. It's just to let them know where they're at. Like I said, if they got lost or if they just need to find food or anything like that. Yelping is when dolphins are in distress. This is when they need help. This is when they feel threatened. Now, a con to Sound traveling 4.5 to 5 times faster in water is that it attracts predators. So these predators might be feeding off of the dolphins, or they might try to steal their meal. So that's why it is very important that the dolphins do travel in large groups, because they can protect each other from predators. Number 2, phylogeny, the evolution. So the descendants of land mammals, which are called the artiodactyl order. These are the even-toed ungulates. They split from the Indohinus 48 million years ago and became fully aquatic 5 million years ago. So here I have some pictures of the evolution. So how we were just stating the even-toed ungulates, now here we have an animal or a mammal with 4 limbs, and then eventually going down to just having a flipper and fins and a tail. So we'll get into that here. So the Archaeoceti, they are the ancestor of whales. So this means that they have transitioned. So they were once fully terrestrial, then they became semi-aquatic, and then finally fully aquatic. The major change that happened in dolphins were their hearing setup. This changed 49 million years ago. I believe this must be due to the fact that they are now in water, so their hearing must be better than any other senses. Their body and tail growth changed 43 million years ago. This is due to being in bodies of water, they need to swim faster. A fin, a tail is going to move much faster than the 4 limbs. The nasal opening to the top of the cranium and the 4 limbs into flippers. This changed 35 million years ago. Once again, we're here with the 4-limbed animal at the top. You can see that the nostril is at the very front of the animal's face. Down here, we have an animal, or a mammal that is, an ancestor of dolphins, and their nasal opening is now at the top of their cranium. So this is going to help them stay underwater longer. They don't have to get their entire body out of the water just to breathe. They can just swim at surface level. So this is all evolution adaptations that help them be more equipped in the water. And then we're going to talk about the vestigial hind limbs. These are the 2 rod-shaped pelvic bones inside of a dolphin. These limbs are no longer in use, but it is believed that the limbs must have been used in the past, but they just haven't evolved out of the dolphin's body. The closest living relative to the Archaeoceti is the hippopotamus. Number 3, the mechanism and the causation. So we're going to talk about the reasoning to why dolphins act the way they do. And we're going to start with touch. So baby calves, which are baby dolphins, they value their mother's touch by swimming close to them. They rub against the flanks and the pectoral fins. So as you can see here, we have a baby calf right along its mother's side. This is for security, safety, just learning how to, be a functional dolphin, I should say. And dolphins have intellect. So something called porpoising, it's the act of jumping in and out of water while maintaining surface level swim. So here I have a picture of a dolphin jumping out of the water. They call this the 3-stage swimming. It's leaping, burst, and coast. Now, dolphins are very playful, but this does have a function. This allows them to travel much faster on their journeys. So, as you can tell us ourselves, we run a lot faster on a track field than if we were to try to run in water. Same thing goes for a dolphin. Same thing goes for any type of animal, mammal. You just move faster when you're out of the water. So this is something that the dolphins have realized that they can do, and it's been a benefit to them. Second example of their intellect is bubble making. In my research, I found a study that took place at Six Flags Marine World in Vallejo, California. And inside their oceanarium, they witnessed that their dolphins would swim to the bottom of the oceanarium and blow bubbles. Now, they felt that this was not random for the dolphins. This is something that was practiced and became a learned trait. Here I have a quote. It says, "Anticipatory behavior on awareness of the contingencies of their past actions and an awareness of the contingencies of future acts." Pretty much saying that the dolphin understands that if it does one thing, something else is going to happen. So they understand that if they go down to the bottom of the ocean, hold their breath long enough, and then blow a little bit, it'll create this little ring of bubble. And they just do it for their fun. This is their enjoyment. But even though it's fun, it still shows their how smart they are, how they can remember that this is something they must do to achieve something. So this is pretty cool. Number 4, we have ontogeny, the development. So the development is a distinctive high-pitched whistle. This whistle is the dolphin's identification. This lets other dolphins know the mental state of a dolphin and the location of a dolphin. Something called the signature whistle, that's like their name. So as we have our names, when a dolphin hears another dolphin's signature whistle, they know exactly who it's coming from. The signature whistle develops the first year of life. Young males mimic their mothers, and young females' whistle is more distinguishing. Now, as we talked about this in class, how when looking for a mate, they often look for something that is opposite of them. But when it comes to associating, they would associate with something that sounds like them. So that explains a lot to the reasoning why a young male would like to mimic his mother. He's always around her. But when it's time for him to find a female dolphin to mate with, he wants her to sound different. And so does she. She doesn't want him to sound like her. Ontogeny development continued. So once again, we're back on the whistling. So they use whistling to remain vocal and physical contact. As I mentioned earlier, they do like to swim in pods. So this is very important, as I said, getting lost or just keeping their safety. Also, in the last slide, I mentioned how the sons like to mimic their mothers. This also takes place in adult dolphins as well. If a dolphin is alone by itself and it hears a larger group of dolphins, it will mimic their exact whistle to gain that group's attention because it needs help. So dolphins are going to hear that similar sound, and they're going to go over and try to figure out where it's coming from, what other dolphins out there, is it a part of their pod? So, it's a great way to keep them together or for emergency purposes. Like I said, if they're separated, they'll use that whistling to be reunited with each other. Now, memory. Dolphins have great memory. They can remember a whistle from 20 years ago. So as I mentioned previously that there are signature whistles like someone's name, dolphins can determine exactly who it is and when they heard it. So that dates really far back. That even shows you the lifespan of dolphins, that they can remember 20 years worth of whistles. Also in my learnings, I found out that they have amazing eyesight in and out of water. But due to being in the water, there is debris. So that causes challenges when seeing. So they like to rely on sound rather than sight. So to wrap this up, I'm going to talk about my learnings. So once again, we're talking about the bottlenose dolphin. Communication is a tool for security, survival, and cognitive exercise. Security is because the communication of whistling, it defends every member of the pod and ensures morality. What I mean by that is if there is enough dolphins in the pod, they can make sure that no harm comes to them. The morality rate, there won't be as many deaths, I should say. They're not going to get attacked because with there being so many, it's intimidating. Survival, traveling in groups, they take turns allowing each member of the pod to eat the prey that they found. So if dolphins are swimming and they see a school of fish, they like to surround that school, and the dolphins that are swimming in the middle, they will go and eat first. Once those dolphins have finished eating, they'll come out and they will go on the outside, and it'll be their turn to guard. And the dolphins that were once on the outside will go in and eat. So they do work as a team to help them survive. And then cognitive, practicing social and physical awareness. This tells humans that dolphins' minds are more complex, and they have the memory to hold information they deem to be valuable. So as I mentioned earlier, a whistle from 20 years ago, they might find that to be valuable because it's another mammal dolphin that they may know, or it can help them distinguish if it's a dolphin they don't know. Another thing is how we mentioned how they can hold their breath to create bubbles. That is something that shows that a dolphin's mind can hold that much information. It's not just thinking about the present. It remembers the past and can use the past for the future. That's a really complex thing to do for mammals. So, yeah. Here are my references, and thank you so much.